Okay, so Adama Traore looks set to leave Wolves for probably Tottenham. Barcelona have been linked as well, but especially Tottenham for about £20 million, maybe a bit more, maybe 22, 23. And this was really split Wolves fans, which kind of surprises me personally. Look, of course there are arguments you can make for selling him and keeping him, and that's kind of just the nature of football, right? But it feels like the majority of Wolves fans really want Adama Traore to stay, and I can get why. Like, obviously, he's the most entertaining player I've ever seen at Wolves, personally. Especially last season when Wolves were really boring, and he was kind of the only player that kind of gave you a bit of hope, right? And look, you can make arguments. He's elite in the air, which is something I don't think he gets enough credit for a wide player, especially with the Nuno when we punt long balls out to the flanks. He was a good hold up guy in the air, and obviously he's an elite dribbler. Everyone knows that. But my thing with Adama is it's always kind of just that. And personally, maybe it's just how I look at stuff, but I'd rather have someone that's kind of more well rounded at everything than kind of elite in two or three things, which is kind of all Adama is. And look, apparently the fee's 20 million. And I saw this poll on Talking Balls that they put out. And obviously they have a massive, they had 4,000 votes. And I mean, I'm not logged in, so I can't vote, but 72% of people voted that was a bad deal for Adama Traore, 20 million quid for Adama Traore. Now, my argument to that would be Adama Traore is not a key player. Like, he's played a good amount of minutes this season, he played 1,000, but he's not in the, he's not up there with our defenders or our midfielders or any of the big guys. He's not like a key player for Wolves. You can tell Bruno Lage doesn't love him in the way he does with other players, and I don't think that's ever a good thing. And Adama Traore is one of our key assets. Like, I know Transfermarkt's not the greatest website in the world, but if you look at our most valuable assets according to them, which, by the way, I don't 100% agree with this, but Adama Traore is our fourth most valuable asset according to Transfermarkt. He's 25 million. His valuation, I'd say he's a bit lower than that personally, but that's kind of what Transfermarkt values him at. And I don't see the point in having one of your most saleable assets not be a kind of regular starter for you. And the thing I always say with Adama Traore is when you compare him to Francisco Trincao, I know people don't like Trincao, and that's fine. You can have your opinion on Trincao. I get why people don't rate him, but people always say with Adama Traore, well, he's unlucky that, yes, he doesn't have any goals or assists for like the millionth time, but, oh, well, he's getting unlucky with finishing and he's getting unlucky with assists, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that's kind of valid, He's got 1.8 XG, 1.7 expected assists. So he should probably have around 3.5 goal contributions. And people always use that as something to defend Adama Traore with, and that's fine. I can understand that. I'm all for that. But with Trincao's got identical as well. He's got 2.6 XG and 0.9. And I don't see anyone ever make that argument for Trincao and go, he's been unlucky with his finishing or he's been unlucky with people not finishing his chances. And Trincao's, he's just turned 22. Adama Traore's about to turn 26. One of them's just got here. And don't forget, Adama Traore's been playing in England for like 8 years now. He was at Villa in 2013, 2014. Like, he's been in England for a long time now, and it just feels like this is, as well, especially with Tottenham linked as well, because Tottenham have a lot of money. They're a Premier League club, and they will be able to pay good money. And if we wait until the summer, Tottenham might not want him, and no other Premier League top six club is going to want him. They're in a very unique position with Antonio Conte right now, that they'll want him for a very specific system, and I don't really see what the point in keeping him is. And I get that he's an elite dribbler, that's fine, but I don't think that's a loss for us. I saw someone say on Twitter, like, oh, you can't replace that. No, you can't. You can't. Like, he's in top 1-2 percentiles for dribbles and progressive carries and all that, and that's fine. But, if you look at Wolves as a side in terms of dribbles, then look, I know Adama Traore kind of comes into that, right? But we're top of dribbles completed. We attempt the most, and we've got the third best in terms of a percentage. And look, that would drop a little bit if Adama Traore stays, but there's so many other players in our team that can dribble. Trincao can do it, Daniel Podence can do it, Ray-Nate Nuri can do it, Nelson Semedo can do it, Keanu Herver can do it. We have a lot of players in their specific position that can dribble. Even Raul Jimenez, I think, is in the top 10% of strikers that dribble. So as much as losing him we would lose someone that's like an elite dribbler, we'll have other players that can kind of facilitate that offer other stuff. And with the way our transfer window's going right now, I'd rather sell Adama Traore and have a centre-back or have a central midfielder or be able to get in a couple of loans and kind of just move on with the guy. And look, we probably should have sold him a few years ago. I think when he was linked with 40, 50 million pound moves, we probably should have just sold him then. But I personally trust Fosun with sales. I know people don't rate our recruitment that high, and that's fine. You can have your opinions on Scott Sellers or whatever, but When it comes to sales, I feel like Fosun have always done pretty well. You know, I remember when we sold Nuadiko, when Nuno first came in, people were moaning about that. That was a good deal. I remember people moaned about selling Barry Douglas. Again, that was a pretty good deal with hindsight. Same with Ivan Cavallero. There's so many guys that are owners of sold. Even Benicophobia. I remember when we bought him permanently, then sold him a few weeks later, people were moaning about that. Rui Patricio, everyone moaned about that. And then Jose Sa was great. I trust Fosun to get the right price and kind of just reinvest it personally. I know it's kind of trendy to not like Fosun right now, but with sales, they've kind of got it right over the last few years. And Adama Traore right now is going to be he's at his highest market value. There's a unique opportunity to sell him to Tottenham. No other top six clubs going to want him. And I remember I put something on my Twitter. I put, let's be honest, if Adama Traore played for another club and we were linked with buying him, how much would you be happy with spending on him? So what I meant by that is, let's say Adama Traore played for Everton, right? And he played for Everton for 3.5 years, and he put up the exact same performances for Everton that he did for us. How much would you be happy to pay for him? And most people put 21 to 30. That's fine. People are entitled to their opinion. But for me, personally, I think if Adama Traore played for Everton and he had the numbers he had now, no goals, no assists, some decent underlying numbers, but pretty bad in everything else, I wouldn't want us to spend any more than like £10 million on him. If I'm being 100% honest with you. And the one thing I hear people say as well is, well, we paid well, I think it was 18 million we paid for Adama Traore, right? I hear people say, oh well, we need to make a big profit on that. It's like, not really. It's like when we bought Adama Traore, he just turned 22. He was not really young, but he was a young prospect. He was in the best form of his career when he was at Middlesbrough, and he was on the up. He's not on the up anymore. You know, he's 26. He's about to turn 26 in what, a week and a half. His market value is just going to go down and down. And if we don't sell him now, then the people that are moaning about it now are going to say in the summer, oh, well, why didn't we just sell him in January? Because if we wait until the summer, he can just run his contract down for a year. He'll leave on a free, and then people will just slag off Fosun for that. So for me, they're kind of just in a lose-lose position. And I don't think he's any better or any worse than Daniel Podence. I don't think he's any better or any worse than Trincao. He's definitely not better than Pedro Neto when he's fully fit. I'm not a big fan of Hwang, but even then, Hwang does offer goals. So I don't see the upside. We need to sell him. His contract's running down. We need money for signings. He's not really better than any of our other wingers. He's clearly not like in Bruno Lage's long-term plans. And his underlying numbers are down. We have other players in the squad that can like do dribbling as well. And for me, he's not as entertaining as he was before. We don't really need his aerial ability personally, because we don't use that long ball as much as we did under Nuno. He's not good at holding up the ball. Like, his pass completion's awful. Like, I always hear people say, oh, well, he can hold the ball up late in games. No, he can't. And Spurs are our best chance to get money for him. So personally, I hope we sell him to Tottenham. I think it's the best thing to do. If you remove like people being annoyed at Fosun and the fact we all like watching Adama, this is the best decision for the club and the club's finances, whether you like it or not. I know no one wants to lose players, but if we want to improve other areas of the squad, he's our only saleable asset for me. And he's one that's we don't want to lose. It's not like Max Kilman, we don't want to lose him. I think I'd be fine with losing Adama, personally, and I feel like there's just way more arguments for selling him than keeping him. That's just my opinion, though. But yeah, we'll see what happens in January, I guess. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let me know what you think about the Adama situation. And yeah, peace.